Hello YouTube, this is Alexander again. Today I want to talk about this device, which are component checker, and the reason I make this video today is because I sometimes use this device, and unfortunately I tested diodes on a PCB which was overcurrent, and this device was immediately destroyed. So unfortunately I had to purchase a new one, which is here, which is a bit made with a SMD component. And so this one seems a little bit dodgy, but I use it a lot for to recognize some components or some transistors, etc. And of course for to know the ESR of the capacitors, because ESR of capacitors are very important to know. And this is one of the most easy way to know the ESR for a very low price, is to have this kind of component checker. Of course, if you are a beginner or engineer, you absolutely need this kind of device. It gives you a lot of features with a very low price, and you need to have this device on your workbench. So I'm not supported by any customers, but this is a fact. You absolutely need to have this kind of device on your workbench. It helps you a lot for to recognize a lot of components. So my mistake is to check a component which was on voltage. Be aware with this kind of device, you absolutely need to test some component, but absolutely with no voltage on the terminals. If there is any voltage on the terminals, you will destroy your device. It's what's happened to me with this device. So for to replace it, I purchased this one, and of course at the same time I purchased this one because I wanted to test if there is something new or something brand new or any new featuring on this device, and it's not expensive. So this is the reason why I purchased both of them and test it today. So as you can see, this one was marketed without any foot, without any socket here, which are very dangerous. It's what happened to me with this device, which the part above is missing here, but this is not very important. This device was destroyed because this part was naked and not protected, and it touched something metallic and make a short circuit. I could not repair it because I didn't know where the damaged part, where was the damaged part. So it's what arrives when you have a naked part on your workbench. So the new ones, this is the second I purchased it. It have a little foot with a little foot or socket with a plastic, and it helps you to make your device on a little chair for not to touch your workbench. This is a good way to use your device. This one can works with a lithium-ion battery here, but I'll make a little hack if you want. I put a very plate battery here because I didn't have exactly this size. So, and okay, of course it's worked very nice without any problem. I will test it very soon. So for to talk about this one is the new models. Of course, there is both model. There is a model like this one, which is very simple, and you have another one which can give you an image and code, some code coming from infrared remote, but okay, for me it's not very important to have this device, this kind of device. I just use it for to recognize some semiconductors, and of course to know the ESR of the capacitors. So what I talk about in my last videos about this kind of stuff is there is lots of this device which are not able to recognize thyristor and the triacs. And I have in this group of components, I have a thyristor and triac, and we are going to see if this device is able to recognize. And something very funny, I will show you then the very old model. When I talk about old model, I will talk about this one. This one is one of the first was marketed on eBay. As you can see, he's very simple. He has no backlight, but he still works today. Of course, because I care very lot of it. So this device is one of the first which was commercialized on eBay, and I was disappointed because he was not able to recognize some components, like he don't compare triacs and thyristor. He thinks it was at the same time, but now I will show you then this component checker is perfectly able to make the difference between thyristor and triac, because there is one point we need to understand, but I will explain it to you in a few minutes. So this one was one of my first device for checking components, and this one I think was the second part of the second checker. It's old models. The new models are this one and this one. This one is just LCR tester for height capacity or height inductance, and it's not able to test some semiconductors. Okay, I will make some tests with all this device and see what they gives differently from each other, and see if they are able to what features they have now. But of course, I'm just talking about semiconductors. I'm not talking about here about signals input, signal output ability, or voltage reading ability. I'm not interested by this. I'm just interested by the ability of this device to recognize properly the components. So what I want to do now is, of course, the first of all, checking some capacitors here, and watch the ESR, which is very important for electronic engineering, or anything you are. If you are beginners or engineer, you need to understand what the ESR is, and for to use or to replace your capacitor. And for this occasion, I want just to make a test between these two capacitors. I think there is one of them which are defected. So if you see the settings, so the setting or the back of this component, you can see one is a little bit curved, and maybe this one is a bad capacitor. They are practically the same, but we are going to see if this component checker is able to see the difference between the good and the bad component. We have here a false ERFZ44, and we are going to see how it's read. First, we are going to test this component this component, and this component by with this component checker, and this component we are going to see it with a classical RCI meter like this one for to compare the result with this very cheap component. If there is any voltage on your terminals, it can destroy your device. Don't forget it. It's very, very important. So just short circuit if you want for to make secure your test. Okay, it's indicate over range, so you need just to click one button here, the height capacity here. Okay. The value is approximately 5,000, which is nearly, not exactly the same, but it's very near. As you can see, this device does not indicate the ESR. ESR is very important. If the ESR is very high, despite the fact you have the good value here, your capacitor is not able to work properly. If because you need to have both result for to reuse a second-hand component like this one. Normally it's indicate 30, but here it's indicate 20 micron. So 33 micron, not very far from this device. Now let's try this component on this new device. This new device is marketed like new models. Of course, they are commercialized since maybe 1 or 2 years now, but they always change the firmware of these devices for to have new features. And this one have a very nice capacitor checker, because now the value is less than 1 NF of measuring. So, okay, let's see first the coil. You see here the schematic, the equivalent circuit. You have a low resistor and serial and the coil is 20 microhenry, nearly 20 microhenry. It's not exactly the same than the other device, but it's very nearly the same. Now let's try this one. Okay, you can see here the value of the capacitor, but I don't really care about it. What I'm interested for is the ESR, of course, and the VLOS. The VLOS is the loss of energy for charging your capacitor and restitute your energy after this charging. You have a loss of energy. This is what you can understand here. And the ESR is very low, which indicates this capacitor is able to have a second life if you need it. One of those capacitors are defected. It's this one. I'm going to test it and see if the component, if this checker see any difference. Okay, you can see here the ESR is 23 ohms. And this one is 7 ohms. So this one, which is exactly the same as this one, is a damaged component. If you see the back of the component, you can see it's not straight. Let's try a little capacitor. Okay. 960 pf, which mean approximately 1 nf. Of course, for this kind of capacitor, there's no value of Esr displayed on the screen. Let's try a classical diodes. Okay, you have all the information you can need for to understand how the LED works. You can have the capacitance on the bad sense direction, and you have the equivalent capacitors, and you have the voltage for to have a conventional current indicate here. Now let's try a classical diode. So you have all the information you need. You have the maximal voltage on the good direction, which is indicate 672 millivolts. And you have a capacitance. Maybe the capacitance on the other sense is measured with the voltage at between 0 and 5 volts, which is indicated here. I think it's mean. I think this is what it's mean. And the capacitance on the bad sense, on the opposite current, is 8 nano only, which is indicated here. Now I have this 8 precision resistor, and let's see what it indicates. Okay, 99.4 ohm. Now this component is a false ERFZ44. Let's see how it see this component. Okay, you have here the schematic of the component, and of course you can see the voltage needed for to activate the grid, and you can see the RDS, which is 0.1 ohms. This device is able to indicate the RDS, which the other device are not able to do that. So I think this device is one of the best device in the market today. This device is a classical component. Is a BD243C. Okay, you can see here the schematic, and you can see the indication you can see here the schematic, and you can see the indication which indicate to you there it's a BGT NPN transistor, and you see the gain and the intensity on the emitter. This is the intensity needed for to test the component. Now let's test triac and a thyristor. Okay, you can see a triac and the voltage need for to activate la gâchette. This is the triac. And now you can see a thyristor, which is very easily recognized by this device, and you can see the voltage need for to activate the grid or la gâchette. So the reason why you can suspect that this device are not able to recognize thyristors is because when you use thyristor like those one which are a very big caliber, a big power thyristor like this one, you need to know that this thyristor use a very high current for to activate the grid, and of course the problem is that this device is not able to drive the grid with a minimal current of 6 milliamps. So when you try to test this component, you cannot test this component with this device. Okay, if you have to test some very big component like this, you need to make a special bench for to test it, and you need to test it with a real condition of rock, and you cannot use this one because this component checker is made for to work in a very classical condition with a little component like those one. So those one needs a very low current, which the very low current needed for this component is easily it's easy to have it from this device for to activate this little component. This is the reason why you cannot check a so big component like this one on this device. Okay, this one have not a battery in front because the battery is behind the device. It's a little hack because I have not the size which can fill up this battery holder. So let's see how he see the capacitors. This is the capacitor from the beginning. You will see if the able to see the good value. Very not very easy to plug. Okay, you can see nearly the same value which with the other component checker. Let's try LED. Okay, you can see a diodes and the voltage. Difference between the good and the bad capacitor. Esr 27. Esr 8.6 ohm. The same component, but this one is dead. Let's see the coil. You see here a resistor, but you can see here the schematic of the coil, and the value is nearly the same than the ESR meter. Let's see the triac. Okay, you can see here a triac and the voltage. (100 ohm high precision 100 ohm high precision resistor. Okay. Nearly the good value. Okay, I thought this one was not able to test thyristor and triac, but we are going to see together which then it's in fact it's able to see thyristor and triac. Okay, triac. Okay, thyristor. This device is the most inexpensive component checker in the market, and of course in this display it miss a lot of information, but it's really good, do the job, and it's very worth to have it. It's better to have this one than to have not a component checker, of course. This one is the best. It's not very speed component checker. It's not very quick. It takes a long time to get up and to work, but of course it makes a very good job and lots of good information on the display. This device is one of my first component checker, and I'm going to show you which this device is very old, but it's able to recognize this thyristor and triac. Okay, you can see the triac on the display, the leads in the order of the test point here, and it's very simple device, and despite of it, I very like this first unit I had since some years now. I very love this device. Let's try the thyristor. Okay, you can see it indicates to you thyristor. So for my part, I can make electronic anymore without to have one of this component checker perfectly working on my workbench, and I always use it to see the same reference between both transistor or both capacitor to replace with the second-hand components. So the main message here is you need absolutely to have one of these component checker on your workbench, and so I have some piece of this device here because I practice lots of electronic since a long time now, and of course each year there is a new product and with the new abilities and with some feature like this one, which can give you lots of signal and voltage reading, frequency counter, etc. If you're a beginner or engineer, you absolutely need this kind of device. So it's not very expensive. Chinos make some miracle for us. So don't hesitate if you have not this device. So I'm not sponsored by the Chinos builder, but so this device, I think, it is the second tool you need after a good multimeter. You absolutely need this device. So this is all for today. It was Alexander again. Stay tuned for new project, because I have to follow my projects about amplifier, etc. So stay tuned on my channel, and see you soon.